trooper has been injured during a standoff. Channel 11's Shelby Zaratny is as close as she can get to the scene in Latrobe. Shelby, you've been there all morning as police tried to get the suspect to surrender. What's going on right now?
Yeah, we are about maybe a dozen houses away from the home. It's 436 Lloyd Avenue, and this is a very active scene. In fact, just a few moments ago, we heard 5 pops, 5 banging sounds, if you will. We saw the CERT team move toward the home, then they retreated. When they retreated, they went to the back of the armored vehicle that they've been using all morning and since last night. We saw them bring some equipment, and then we saw them bring one of their CERT team members on a gurney, put them into that armored vehicle. They went in reverse, went down Lloyd Avenue and met up with an ambulance that is here on scene and transferred that team member into the ambulance. We know that this person was injured. We do not know the extent of this person's injuries. Again, as I said, there were 5 banging or 5 loud popping sounds that we heard. Not sure if that was tear gas exactly. Heard 5 pops, and then the team members retreated. To give you a little bit more background on what's been happening here since last night, Latrobe and State Police in Greensburg teamed up. This is now an 18-hour attempt. They are trying to peacefully bring out Scott Murphy. He is 23 years old. That is the suspect who they need to bring out of this house. They, again, have armored vehicles. They blocked off a large perimeter of the area, and at 10 o'clock last night, they cut power to homes in a multi-block area. Several times over the last hours, we did hear those flashbangs. Police deployed tear gas and then tried talking Murphy out of the house. Police believe Murphy robbed Precision Pharmacy in town and stole OxyContin on Thursday. Now, their search for him led to that house at 436 Lloyd Avenue, and then, as I said, police sent in their CERT team. They determined Murphy had barricaded himself in a second-floor bedroom and was heavily armed. This standoff, though, has an enormous ripple effect. A lot of neighbors have been angry because they had no power.
They told him either leave the house or try to get to the basement. I mean, we were already in the basement, so I guess they didn't have to warn us.
If something goes wrong with all my food, somebody's paying for it because I work hard for this money and food.
And we're back now live on Lloyd Avenue. The activity that you're looking at in front of you, there's that armored vehicle that they just used to transport to an ambulance one of the CERT team members. And just a few moments ago, we saw heavy white smoke coming out of that second floor area of the home that they are focusing in on. Again, this is still a very active scene. The power, mind you, was back on to neighbors here in the area around 9 or 9:30 this morning. So that's good news for those folks that the power came back on. But again, still a very active situation here on Lloyd Avenue. And now we're hearing some banging pops. If you take a look back there, now those could be, again, the flashbangs. They are breaking through the second-story window. You're seeing this live right now on Channel 11 News as breaking news. And you see the tactical teams on the roof on that second floor, and we're hearing gunfire. We are now hearing, you're hearing active gunfire there. This is a very active, very tenuous situation. Those teams are still up on the second floor of this home. We just are seeing now one member coming out. They just ran into that armored vehicle. And some team members who are behind the armored vehicle. Again, you're looking at live pictures right now. Breaking news here on Channel 11 News. This is what we hope to be the end of a standoff here.
Shots fired in a standoff with a suspect. We brought this to you live as breaking news at noon. And when it was all over, that suspect had been killed and a trooper hurt.
All that after a standoff that lasted more than 18 hours. In fact, we first told you about the scene on Lloyd Avenue in Latrobe last night on 11 at 11. And as the situation became more serious, we sent a team of reporters. We're going to begin our live Team 11 coverage with the latest on the investigation from Channel 11's Joe Holden live at the scene. Joe.
Well, good evening to you. A state police trooper just told me an autopsy is set to begin on Scott Murphy, the suspect in all of this, in less than a half an hour. And of course, that will be a very critical piece of the puzzle as this investigation moves forward. Police couldn't pinpoint yet how many rounds were fired or how many times Murphy may have been shot. With state police in position, high-power gunfire, breaking glass. an air conditioner tossed out of the way. Channel 11 captures the intense moment that investigators say ended a 17-hour standoff. With a trooper hurt, state police returned fire, killing a man named Scott Murphy.
Negotiations went on through the night. There were several options that were used, gas and so forth. None of those were effective. Entry into the house was a last effort on our part.
State police say the 46-year-old Murphy robbed Precision Pharmacy in Latrobe Thursday afternoon, taking several hundred OxyContin pills. The investigation led police here to Latrobe around 7 Thursday night to Murphy's home on Lloyd Avenue.
Contact was made with Mr. Murphy, but he refused to submit to arrest and retreated to the upstairs portion of his home.
After shutting off power to dozens of homes and evacuating neighbors, state police repeatedly demanded that Murphy surrender. Special emergency response teams from around the state worked in shifts and mobilized special tactical units. Just before 6 Friday morning, a robot went inside the home. Police used tear gas and flashbangs in attempts to disorient Murphy, according to investigators, all to no avail. And we're learning new information. The trooper who was injured in all of this has since been identified as Trooper Brian King. Now, state police tell me, other than Trooper King and Scott Murphy, nobody else was injured in this very violent and very dramatic ordeal playing out here in Latrobe. Now, coming up at 6, we speak to a woman who had a front row seat to all of this from her bedroom floor, hearing the violence unfold just maybe 100 feet across the street. Of course, we'll see you for that angle at 6. We're reporting live in Latrobe. Joe Holden, Channel 11 News.
Joe, a lot happened out there today. Before we let you go, any idea, the scene is still active now, any idea when police may finally clear that area?
Well, excellent question. If we can push in here real quick, we're going to show you what's known as the R&I team. The state police trooper is up there right now. He is taking measurements. There is an excessive amount of casings littered all over that area. They're going to account for all of that evidence. And of course, they're still working the house to determine what played out in the house. I'm told something that kept them from going inside for almost an hour or so was the presence of a lot of tear gas.
All right, Joe, thanks. A lot going on there. We'll check back with you in our next half hour.
We are also learning more about the suspect tonight and the series of events that may have led up to the standoff. Channel 11's Tamika Artis continues our live Team 11 coverage from Latrobe with that part of the story. Tamika.
Well, the question on everyone's minds this afternoon is why something like this had to happen. Police confirmed that Murphy had at least 2 weapons on him at the time of the standoff, a handgun and a rifle. And friends tell me that he'd been having a difficult time since the sudden death of his girlfriend last year, but no one expected it to come to this.
His son Brandon was on the bullhorn and calling for his dad to come out. So I know that they tried.
But those frantic attempts to get the 46-year-old robbery suspect to surrender quickly escalated with deadly results when police say he opened fire from an upstairs bedroom, grazing a member of the county CERT team on the face.
After our member was shot, several members of the Special Emergency Response Team returned fire.
Longtime friend Melissa Garcia tells Channel 11 News even she tried to contact Murphy on his cell phone, hoping to convince him to turn himself in, but got no answer. That's when she rushed over to his parents' house in Latrobe, and by the time she got here, police had the place surrounded.
Yeah, he's had complications in his life, and he was fighting those. But obviously the demons got the best of him.
Channel 11's Courtney Brennan is live now at UPMC Presby, working to find out how the wounded trooper is doing. Courtney.
That's right, Joe, and we just found out that Trooper Brian King is in stable condition. Although he's in stable condition, he is in surgery right now. He sustained some injuries to his eye during this firefight, also to the portion right above his eye. So his family at his bedside right now praying that he comes through. We are told he will survive. Now, we have been monitoring the situation very closely from UPMC Presby all day long. We actually captured Trooper King's family being brought to the hospital, his wife and one of his daughters daughters. They were driven here by a state trooper in an unmarked car and then rushed up to the floor where Trooper King was being treated. Now, within the last hour, we uncovered that Trooper King worked out of the Bell Vernon barracks, and he has about 14 years on the job. Investigators say that the gunman shot at King in his face and the bullet shattered his face shield. Indeed, it did save his life. We are told Trooper Brian King will survive. As I mentioned earlier, right now he is in surgery specifically to his eye area. His wife and 2 of his daughters are here in the hospital with him. He has 2 other daughters. We are told they are being brought here hopefully very shortly. For now, live at UPMC Presby, I'm Courtney Brennan, Channel 11 News.